3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Lens, where we talk about how that recent episode of 8 at 4 came to life. Kelli Lemon's with me, Will Roye, I'm Matt Pochily, and we're talking about the episode from May 4th, may the 4th be with you, of 8 at 4. This was the third episode, and this episode was a truly, I would say, collaborative episode amongst all of us, and how that came together. Will, you're the one, though, that has the final touches on it. Tell us about how you experienced that, if you will.
I actually enjoyed the collaboration. You shot a lot of the pieces, and it was cool to see different perspectives on these stories, because normally it's just me and my camera. So being able to put the stories that you shot about, especially about the salsa, I just really enjoyed the different touch that you added to it.
Thank you. Yeah, 8 unique segments coming at 4 o'clock on that Wednesday. That was the 4th, and this was our third time going through it, and so it was fun to see this one come together. We started off with Lucas Fritz in Lifestyle, talking about music venues, and that was a great time to be able to do that because, and I think you had said this even in your script, weather had opened up. We're past some of the COVID restrictions that we've experienced in the last 2 years, and now this was sort of the beginning of live music in large outdoor venues like Browns Island and things, kind of getting back to normal, if you will. Right. Talking with Lucas, he was also on Style Weekly's Top 40 Under 40.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that timing all just came together. But you had identified Lucas to us. Talk a little bit about why and how.
Well, just the concert venues, like music venues, aren't a big thing in Richmond, right? But he's one of the people that controls 3 of the biggest concert or music venues or music platforms in Richmond, with the Camel, the Broadberry, and now with what he's doing over at Browns Island with Venture Richmond with Live Loud concert series.
Yeah.
So Lucas is just an expert of bringing live entertainment to the city. One of the things that he said in the interview was, it's like, we been had music here. We been had dope bands and dope entertainment here. It's just getting the shine right now. So when people are like, wow, Richmond's finally doing, no, not finally. You're just getting, engaged or being aware of these great bands, performers, and artists that we have right here in the city.
What I enjoyed about this episode and having my hands in a couple of different pieces of this episode was that from each of those segments, you could see how another story could come out of it. When he talks about the punk days of Grace Street, I was like, dude, what's the punk days of Grace Street?
Yeah. Remember Nancy Reagan? That was a music video. I love when the staff gets involved, right, when they're listening. Right? It was Nancy Reagan, right? Wasn't that the name of the place? Oh, yes. Strange Matter, all of those little venues.
To be able to have time to do another piece that some of those reference what we talked about with Lucas, and to be able to do that again would be really cool.
Yeah.
So I love it when that happens. Then we talked in business with America Deloach, who is the founder of Salsa's Don Sebastian. I talked with her at her space in Midlothian. And that space in Midlothian where she is, that place on Oak Lake Boulevard or Oak Lake Road, I love that because to me, that's the Scott's edition of Midlothian.
Okay.
It's just the way those buildings are. It's sort of industrial.
She's in Hatch though, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, I thought she was in Hatch. Okay.
But the way that people are running businesses or entrepreneurs or building businesses out of over there is really fascinating to me. And she's also set to take on a bigger space in the next year or so. But she's just killing it with where these are going.
And that's why I thought she was part of the whole food production thing that's happening over in the Manchester area out of those big warehouses. Because this, to me, doesn't feel like it was made in Richmond.
Right.
I see this brand all the time. It is nothing for me to grab this and, it's just dope. Then you're like, oh, wait, again, I can touch her. I can actually go to her space. I can actually tell people this is made in Virginia.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She called me after the episode came out and said she really liked the piece, which was great. But to be able to now have that relationship with someone, the way that you do with Lucas or any of us could have with any of these people, is so exciting.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to really be able to join them alongside of their business or wherever that is.
Is this lunch?
This part of it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
definitely
yeah.
want to taste
Yeah,
that.
you're like, you over there drooling too. I'm like, wait till after we finish.
Because those chips are so crunchy.
Yeah,
they are. They're so good. Then we talked about Pasa Festival, which was, as it was lined up, was originally scheduled to be that Friday, Saturday right after, or the Saturday, Sunday, right after the episode had come out.
Yeah.
But then we got the announcement of rescheduling. Great piece that we inherited from RTD Newsroom that they had shot previously of the 2019. This is 2 years now that it's been since Pasa Festival has happened.
Yeah.
And now we have another one coming back. This has been rescheduled to June, but excited to see that come back around and incorporate that again when the live event comes back. The Flying Squirrels.
Yes.
Sports is sponsored by the Richmond Flying Squirrels, and we got out to a Squirrels game.
We sure did.
And you all talk
We
about
sure
that
did.
experience. I didn't get to go to the game, but talk a little bit about it.
It had been a while since I've been to a Squirrels game. Maybe like since I was like a teenager.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it felt so good to get back out there. Actually, this was the first game since they've been the Braves that I've been to.
Wow, Will.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's been a while.
We didn't get those Richmond cards done, but
yeah,
we
we gotta get
lost
those
a
Richmond cards
card right
done.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a great time. Like I said, we went during the week, and it was just such a great escape from like normal life.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, the fans were going crazy. It just was a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm not even really like a big baseball guy, but I realized, like I've heard before, it's not about the game so much. You just go to have fun, meet people, drink some beers, eat some food. So I enjoyed it.
So much energy at the Diamond right now. I mean, it is very vibrant. When Parney says it's more than just about baseball, I mean, you just feel that energy. Like you said, sometimes you're like, oh, what's the score? Oh, wait. What inning is it? Oh, wait. Oh, the fireworks started already? What happened? The game's over? Yeah. And the Squirrels have been playing fairly well. So, yeah.
And to celebrate the collaboration of that piece, our technical director, Bill Barksdale, shot that footage. And then I assembled it and Will voiced it, and it all just came together. So I thought naturally, Will, you lent your voice and your writing skills again to that, and it all just worked. It all worked really well.
And anytime I get to wear the brand, I'm going to wear the brand.
Anytime you can wear it, you're gonna wear it. The 8 at 4 presented by VCU Massey Cancer Center. This was our third episode, dropped on May 4th. And in this episode, you also talked about the Libby Hill steps.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that. I have one part that I really loved, which I told you about right after I saw it, but talk about that idea in general.
I was disappointed, though. I just knew you was going to rock him.
I
I just knew I was going to see you running up them things.
A couple years ago,
you
maybe.
did it.
The knees are not agreeing with me right now. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I first started running the Libby Mill steps in like 2020. I think it was when the pandemic started. Everybody was getting stir crazy in the house. So some friends of mine were like, "You want to go run?" I had no idea. Those steps are like 100 feet tall, like super steep. But I started realizing like, this park is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, and I just started wanting to know more about it.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized like that was the park that actually, that view from the park kind of named the city. So I wanted to kind of spin that into the story. The segment was about wellness, but I kind of wanted to throw in like a little surprise.
I don't think people realize when they're running those steps, that fact.
Right.
That, there were people that named the city by being on the top of Libby Hill and looking down, and the view is sick. I mean, if you ever can just take your family or a picnic basket or something out there and just chill, it's an awesome view. Or just do some exercise and run the steps.
The part that I liked was that look back down the river, and then when you use that archival photograph, it really looks like that is the James from, I don't know, 70, 80 years ago. And it's not.
Right.
That's what makes that so special. And I loved how that came together. The way that this episode came together of 8 at 4 presented by VCU Massey Cancer Center, again, touched on so many of the things that we intended for the show to be about, and places that you've experienced, but something that maybe you didn't know about it, or someone that you can go meet in like America, where you've seen these things in Wegmans and just thought, oh, this is an amazing startup brand, whatever you want to think of it. No, she's right here.
Yeah.
That stuff is awesome. And there's more entrepreneurs and businesses who are doing things like her that I've just seen covered in the RTD in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That
we're definitely going to get our hands
on.
on.
We're going to get our hands on as well.
Yeah.
So really cool. Our sixth thing on education, Maggie Walker House.
Yes.
You all went to the Maggie Walker Mansion. I know that's a special thing for you every time you have the opportunity to go there. And you probably learn something new. Talk us through that.
She is just, she's idol to me. She's goals to me. You know, like when I first got to Richmond and learned about Jackson Ward and then saw her presence, it amazes me how many Richmonders don't know about her, how many Virginians don't know about her. She is one of the first, she is the first woman to open up a Black woman to open up a bank. She opened up the first bank, and it's the first, and she just doesn't get the credit that she does. She had a mansion with an elevator in it, in her private home. It is just, to me, what she went through. And then when we look at our city and we look of the things that we can do as a community and bridging Richmond together, the blueprint was laid out. I could talk all day about Maggie, and I may Will, so I accompanied Will on that private tour that the mansion allowed us to have with Miss Agina, make sure I say her name correctly. And, we captured so much that could fit in so many different categories that, I'm excited that we just showed education, but we can go into lifestyle. We can go into wellness. We can go into culture. We could probably go into sports, although we can't put it on record that she was running them numbers. She was running the bank, the money from the betting had to come into her bank, especially with what baseball meant to First Street and that whole community. But anyway, I'll digress and turn to Will about maybe some of the things he learned,
Yeah, the elevator piece was really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
The fact that she was just so into every aspect of the Black community and the community in general.
Yeah.
Like this one lady whose mother was a slave. That was just amazing that she had the foresight to be able to even see and learn how to do all these things with such a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Like within her lifetime, she expanded the whole city.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really fascinating.
She can connect to everything that's current right now. That's the part that really makes me feel good, is that I could say when I'm in something, what would Maggie do?
Do you think, larger conversation, do you think Maggie gets her proper due outside of Richmond?
No.
She doesn't even probably get her proper due inside of Richmond.
No.
Right.
Forbes magazine gave her a cover last year for the first time, basically righting its wrongs, going back and recognizing all the people that are no longer with us but should have had covers. And she finally got one. But I don't know how many people really realized who she was on this cover and really what she means.
Yeah.
So, and again, we captured so much. I can't wait to put out more about the mansion, as I
Miss
call it.
Miss Agina was wonderful.
Yeah.
She just delivered it all so well. I knew you all were going. I didn't know how it was gonna kind of be driven. She drives it.
She did.
Just fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Our seventh thing that we covered in this episode of 8 at 4, presented by VCU Massey Cancer Center, is culture, where Will explored some Richmond street art. Street Art Festival is coming back to Richmond in September. Talk a little bit about the street art. And I think you just talk about it. Forget what I think.
So riding around the city, especially the last few years, you just notice there's murals everywhere. And I didn't really understand how they got there. Are these legal or not? Are people paying for these? So just exploring the difference between street art and graffiti, and celebrating it. I live in Manchester now, so there's just a bunch of up and coming artists who are just making their mark on the city, and it really gives the city a different feel. It's an old city. We all see the historic buildings, so it's kind of a cool juxtaposition between young and hip and old and traditional. And I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, and we have finally the return
Mhm.
of the Rva Street Art Festival is coming back in September. It took a hiatus for 2 years, of course, like everything else did. But some of the murals on the Canal Walk that are iconic that we've seen in engagement photos, birthday photos, or just visit Richmond photos, they're about to be replaced. And so there's parts of us that are like, what? You're going to cover the art, but then at the same time, oh, what y'all going to put up there? And it's going to get fresh, brand new art. So we're going to have these great new backdrops and these great new, images for us to now have another maybe 10 to 20 years to talk about.
Right.
Yeah. How old is the stuff that's on the Canal Walk now?
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't because you might take my Richmond card, and I don't want that game to be played today. But I would say, if I had to put a time frame on when I thought it might have gone up, and if anybody's listening, 2009 seems maybe right about when the city started to take a change in general with making sure the river, the art, the food, the beer, that part of the culture of Richmond got the exposure. So I want to say around 2009.
Yeah, I liked the job that you did of the explainer, and I hope that people watch it and kind of can accept that of the difference between graffiti and street art.
Right.
I would love to get with a graffiti artist and hear from them why they think what they do is street art versus there's something else there.
And we need to talk to an older graffiti artist versus a younger graffiti artist, because an older graffiti artist will tell you they will never tag a mural. These young kids are tagging these murals. And to me, it's disrespectful if you know the culture. Like, you don't tag somebody else's art, because we don't tag your art unless there's beef. Anyway.
Okay, subject for another time.
A whole other time.
Or on to something. Last, we talked with RTD newsroom photojournalist Ava Russo about her covering the Burlesque Festival, which this A1 Extra was a perfect fit for what we cover in 8 at 4. Not that the others haven't been relevant, but Ava's eye that she lent to it by having produced that video at the Burlesque Festival was fit perfectly with 8 at 4. And the Burlesque Festival also fits really perfectly with that. But to hear how Ava brought it, I don't want to say necessarily to life, but how she found a way to cover this in such a way that she could give proper representation to the performers and to the festival, and do it in a way that it could be published in photographs and in video. And she did such a wonderful job with it.
She did.
And the opportunity that I had to sit with her and hear from her about it, every time I just wanted more. Like, how did you do that? Did you ever see any slips or anything that you shouldn't have? Or it was just fascinating, and I'm always fascinated when an artist can kind of share how they brought that into being, and something as sort of sensitive of that. But I think she did a great job, and she talked about how everyone was respected and appreciated and welcome. And you saw some of that in number one in the performers, but number two in the crowd. And that was great. And I love that time, if you will, that we're in now, where you can have that. And people can be welcoming of one another.
That part. And I think also, as Ava said in the story, like, she didn't have anything else to write about or to cover. And so then she saw it and she was like, oh, I'll go cover this. I'll see. And then she got exposed to a whole new world that then she got fascinated about, that she's probably going to share more on. I'm very, very familiar with the community because I have friends that participate in burlesque. And so it was very refreshing to see her cover it in the way that most people should see it, and so I applaud her for just even taking that risk for the RTD and saying, okay, let me make sure I shoot this in a way that it gets the maximum exposure. And she did a phenomenal job.
And what I told her is, I'm not going to watch a burlesque thing on YouTube if somebody sends it to me, because I'm like, is this safe for work? Can I be watching this?
Yeah.
But the way that she did it, to me, that was the definitive burlesque piece. And the way that she captures the art of the tease and the way that she captures the artists and the performers doing their thing, to me, was the epitome, to me, as the defining, that's burlesque.
Yeah.
The explainer piece.
Yeah.
So anyway.
This one, and wrapping the whole thing up, this episode was very diverse. It was very Richmond. You know, it showed a bunch of different ways to which you could get involved with the community, with the culture. I mean, we covered from salsa to art to, you know, to Maggie and banking. I mean, it just was very, very diverse, and it felt like we were inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And again, great job. You're writing, and you're the last hands on it to pull this one together, and great job pulling it all together from so many different places. Yeah. This has been another episode of Behind the Lens of 8 at 4, presented by VCU Massey Cancer Center, with sports presented by the Richmond Flying Squirrels. See you soon.